convoy which entered a besieged rebel enclave on the outskirts of the Syrian capital has crossed back into government-held territory. 13 trucks carrying food were unloaded in eastern Ghouta before heading back to Damascus. This is the emergency aid convoy inside eastern Ghouta today. According to the ICRC, it came dangerously close to the firing line. The convoy was meant to deliver food supplies on Monday, but was forced to leave because of ongoing fighting. Opposition activists say about 1,000 people have been killed in airstrikes and shelling in just 2 weeks. Now, the Syrian war is now in its 7th year. A staggering 5.5 million people have been forced from their homes and into neighbouring countries. One nation trying to cope with the influx is Lebanon. It's taken more than 1 million Syrian refugees. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, is in Beirut at the moment and joins me now from there. Welcome to the programme. What is the state of flow of refugees at the moment into Lebanon from Syria?
There is no significant new influx. You know what is tragic about Syria? There was a time when people fled outside the country. There is still a time when people are fleeing within the country. But for people like those trapped in eastern Ghouta, the people that we reached with the convoy today, there's no option. Neither to stay nor to flee. There's no more option. How much worse can it get for any civilian? This is really one of the most tragic situations we've seen in a long time from the humanitarian perspective.
Important, of course, as you rightly outline that situation in Lebanon, as we said, over 1 million Syrian refugees there. To what extent are those refugees in camps or in urban areas, and to what extent is Lebanon receiving support to support them?
They're mostly in urban centers, Beirut and other cities, and in makeshift settlement. They're not in organized camps. They share largely the resources of the local communities. They go to Lebanese schools, those that go to school. They find work in agriculture or construction. It's a very meager existence. The international community has helped, but what I'm worried about is that with the persistence of the Syrian crisis, with the difficulties that people have to return, to make the decision to return, it's premature. They won't go back right now. That support to Lebanon and to other host countries in the region, Jordan, Turkey, and other countries, that support must continue. We must not lower the guard. We must stay the course until the crisis is resolved.
And as you say, there is not much prospect of those refugees returning in the near future.
You know, they watch the media just like us, and they see what's happening in eastern Ghouta. This is on the outskirts of Damascus, the capital. They see what's happening in Idlib, in Afrin, in other unstable areas. I think if you ask them about their future, they see their future back in their country. 89% of the surveyed refugees in Lebanon said they want to eventually return, but not right now. It's too unstable, it's too dangerous, there's too many risks.
And the longer this goes on, we are now seeing, of course, Syrian children being born as refugees in Lebanon.
And of course, the big challenges are the medium long-term challenges: education, employment, and then the impact on host communities, especially here in Lebanon. We were at the border with Syria yesterday. The mayors of the border communities were telling us that the scarce water reserves are completely depleted. This is why it's extremely important, especially in a relatively fragile country like Lebanon, to continue to invest both in the humanitarian response to support refugees, but also in the